think you're going to show up dancing on a mountaintop with a skull necklace. Black magic. What exactly is black magic from a tantric perspective?
Exactly. I like that analogy.
Can someone actually harm another person through these practices?
True Tantra has two paths. Some claim to do Vashikaran or attraction rituals, personal items from the target like hair, clothing, or photographs.
So, if someone came to you and said, Pandit-ji, I want you to harm my enemy,
The evil eye is a real phenomenon in many cultures.
tantriks can make people fall in love with you.
But Jake, I must be very clear.
Yes. Welcome back to DeepCurio, the podcast where we explore the world's most fascinating spiritual traditions. I'm your host, Jake Morrison, and today we have a truly special guest. Joining us all the way from Varanasi, India, is Pandit Rajesh Kumar, a tantric practitioner with over 40 years of experience. Pandit-ji, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jake. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pandit-ji, I have to be honest. When most Americans hear the word tantric, they either think of something mystical and mysterious, or they've seen it in a Bollywood movie and think you're going to show up dancing on a mountaintop with a skull necklace. Can you start by telling us what a tantric actually is?
Yes, the skull necklace is only for special occasions. But seriously, Hollywood and Bollywood have created quite the confusion. A tantric is a practitioner of Tantra, which is an ancient spiritual tradition from India. We work with mantras, rituals, and energies to help people solve problems, achieve spiritual growth, and maintain balance in their lives. It's much more than the stereotypes suggest.
So, you're telling me you don't have a pet cobra that you consult for life advice?
No cobra, I'm afraid. Though I did have a neighbor who had one, and let me tell you, it was terrible at giving relationship advice. Just hissed at everyone.
So, it's not all about dark magic and casting spells in cremation grounds at 3 a.m. while thunder crashes dramatically in the background?
Not at all. First of all, the weather doesn't cooperate that well. And secondly, that's perhaps 1% of what the media focuses on. True Tantra has two paths. The right-hand path, which focuses on positive rituals, healing, and spiritual elevation, and the left-hand path, which can involve more controversial practices. Most tantriks, including myself, primarily work with healing, protection, and helping people overcome obstacles.
That's fascinating. So, let's address the elephant in the room, black magic. What exactly is black magic from a tantric perspective?
Black magic, or what we call Kala Jadoo in Hindi, refers to rituals and practices intended to manipulate energies for harmful purposes, to cause suffering, control someone against their will, or create obstacles in their life. It's the misuse of spiritual knowledge and energy.
And is it real? Can someone actually harm another person through these practices?
This is a complex question, Jake. From my experience and tradition, yes, energies can be directed and intentions have power. However, I must emphasize that I do not practice or teach black magic. It violates spiritual laws and creates terrible karma for the practitioner. What I do is help people protect themselves from such influences and remove negative energies.
So, Pandit-ji, it's kind of like being a spiritual cybersecurity expert instead of a hacker.
Exactly. I like that analogy. I am the antivirus software, not the virus.
Okay, so for our listeners who are curious, and I know they are, how does someone even claim to do black magic? What's the process they say they follow?
I'll explain this for educational purposes only, so people understand what they should avoid. Typically, those who practice dark arts claim to use certain elements, personal items from the target like hair, clothing, or photographs, specific mantras chanted with negative intentions, rituals performed at specific times like new moon nights, and sometimes offerings made at isolated places. But Jake, I must be very clear.
Yes.
Seeking out such practices or practitioners is extremely dangerous, not just spiritually, but also practically. Many who claim to do this are frauds who exploit vulnerable people. And those who are genuine, they are walking a very dark path that will eventually consume them. The universe has a way of balancing things.
So basically, karma is like the universe's credit card. You can charge things to it, but eventually the bill comes due with interest.
Yes, and the interest rates are astronomical, much worse than your American credit cards.
That's a powerful warning. So if someone came to you and said, Pandit-ji, I want you to harm my enemy, what would you say?
I would refuse immediately and counsel them instead. I would explain that harboring such intentions harms them first and foremost. I might offer a ritual for justice, asking the universe to intervene appropriately, but never for deliberate harm. There's a saying in our tradition, what you send out returns to you threefold.
So it's like spiritual boomerang physics.
Precisely. Except boomerangs are much more forgiving.
Let's shift to the more positive side. You mentioned you help people with protection. How does that work?
Protection rituals involve creating energetic shields around a person or their home. We use specific mantras, yantras, which are geometric designs with spiritual significance, and sometimes gemstones or herbs. We also teach people daily practices like meditation and prayer that strengthen their own natural defenses.
Can you give us an example of someone you've helped, Pandit-ji?
I once worked with a young woman who was experiencing terrible nightmares, unexplained illness, and a string of bad luck. After assessment, I determined there was negative energy affecting her, whether from jealousy, ill will, or her own negative thought patterns. We performed cleansing rituals. I gave her a protective amulet and taught her specific prayers. Within weeks, her life began to stabilize.
Wait, so you're like a spiritual life coach meets supernatural exterminator?
I suppose so, though I don't have a van with Ghostbusters written on it. Perhaps I should invest in better marketing.
Who you gonna call? Pandit Rajesh. Honestly, that has a ring to it.
That does have a certain appeal, though I'm not sure the younger generation would appreciate my approach to social media.
Okay, but seriously, I have to ask the skeptical question. How much of this is psychological versus actually supernatural?
That's a fair question, Jake. I believe both elements are real and interconnected. The mind is incredibly powerful. Our beliefs and fears can manifest physical symptoms. At the same time, I have witnessed things that cannot be explained by psychology alone. Perhaps the truth is that the spiritual and psychological are not as separate as Western thinking suggests.
Let's do some rapid-fire myth-busting, Pandit-ji. I'll say a common belief about tantriks, and you tell me, true or false. Tantriks can make people fall in love with you.
False, or rather deeply misguided. Some claim to do vashikaran or attraction rituals, but true love cannot be forced. What you get is obsession or manipulation, which always ends badly. I don't offer such services.
Tantriks perform rituals in cremation grounds at midnight.
True, but with context. Some advanced practices are done in cremation grounds because they're considered places of transformation where the veil between worlds is thin. But it's not as dramatic as movies show, and it's certainly not the norm.
Tantriks all wear black and look intimidating.
Look at me. I am wearing a simple kurta. We are normal people. The theatrical appearance is often marketing.
You can curse someone just by looking at them, the evil eye.
Partially true. The evil eye is a real phenomenon in many cultures. It's essentially focused negative energy, often unintentional, from jealousy or envy, but it's not as simple as a glance. And it's easily protected against with simple rituals.
Pandit-ji, what advice would you give to someone who thinks they might be affected by black magic or negative energies?
First, rule out medical and psychological causes. See a doctor. See a therapist. Then if you still feel something is wrong, seek out a reputable spiritual practitioner, not someone advertising instant black magic removal for huge fees. Trust your intuition. Genuine healers focus on empowerment, not creating fear or dependency.
And how can someone protect themselves generally?
Live with positive intentions. Maintain regular spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, whatever resonates with your tradition. Surround yourself with positive people. Clean and organized spaces carry better energy, and don't give away personal items carelessly or post too much personal information online. Yes, Jake, even in the digital age, this matters.
Okay, that's solid advice for everyone. Before we wrap up, what do you want people to understand about your tradition?
I want people to know that genuine Tantra is about spiritual growth, healing, and understanding the energies that connect all of life. It's been sensationalized and misunderstood. Like any powerful knowledge, it can be misused, but its true purpose is enlightenment and service. We are not sorcerers from fantasy stories. We are spiritual practitioners dedicated to helping others.
Pandit Rajesh Kumar, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and demystifying these practices for us. This has been absolutely fascinating.
Thank you, Jake. May your listeners find their path to peace and protection.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode of DeepCurio, please subscribe, rate, and review. Next week, we're diving into the world of shamanic journeying with a practitioner from the Amazon. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay open-minded.